Good evening, and before the next inexplicable BBC Two logo, a short programme. And before you comment on my voice, let me tell you that's the last time I French kissed Bill Clinton. In the news this week, a major breakthrough for geneticists as they create the world's first human cheese grater. Abroad, George Bush announces that retaining the presidency was as easy as falling off a log. And there are unexpected developments as Luciano Pavarotti lies down to take a nap in his garden. On Ian Hislop's team this week, a comedian whose style has been described as a subtle manhandling of the audience, so I suggest anyone in the front row tonight keeps their coat on, Frank Skinner. And on Paul Merton's team, the man who has the dubious honour of being Ken Livingstone's favourite Tory. Must be a bit like being Ian Paisley's favourite Catholic. Jerry Hayes, MP.
I'm sorry about your voice, Angus.
Are you?
Yeah. I think you must be doing all those advertising voiceovers all week.
Did you see The Sun today?
No, I didn't.
Did you see Angus? Apparently he lives with Eric Sykes.
So, Act 1, Scene 1, our first round, in which each player struts and frets over a piece of topical news footage. Ian and Frank, something you may not have caught this week.
Well, the first bloke was Martin Bangerman.
Which is a great name for a German, isn't it? And in fact, John Major's going to number 10, but he's not at number 10 at the moment because that's been refurbished. And I read that he was at Admiralty Arch, which sounds like a bit of a cardboard box job to me. I don't know what you think.
Have you got 10 pence for a cup of tea?
Very worrying.
There was that sort of look on his face then, so as he was being photographed. I'm still Prime Minister, it's wonderful.
Yes, it's John Major who won the vital Maastricht vote by a margin of just 3. According to the polls, he's now the most disliked leader since the war, so he's now only slightly more popular than Hitler. Rebel Bill Cash.
Does Eric talk about the old days?
Never.
Does he like sort of picture of Hattie and Richard Wattis as Mr. Brown?
And Corky.
Eric Helmet on, it's PC Turnbull. Helmet off, it's Corky.
That's right.
You're sure about this article?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, OK. The Daily Mail listed a number of disadvantages that Maastricht would bring, such as having to vote for a German or a Greek on your local council, as opposed to them living in Buckingham Palace, you know. Right, Paul and Jerry, something you may have just caught every day for the last year.
Oh, that's yes. That's the man you kissed, yeah.
Oh, this is George Bush's latest invention. This is like a sort of do-it-yourself sexual machine.
Oh no, look, he's just made a sperm donation.
Bill Clinton's the man who says that he smoked a marijuana cigarette but didn't inhale. It's like going down to a pub, you wouldn't swallow a pint of beer, would you?
Yes. It's an interesting thought, Paul, yes. It's, just slightly less interesting when expressed. It's,
Did Eric write that one for you?
Nothing wrong with having a dope smoker in the White House. Changed from just a dope.
It is the US elections and victory for Bill Clinton. A spokesman for his party likened him to Elvis. So in 4 years' time, expect to see an unconscious 20-stone whale in rhinestone bell-bottoms. To aid their cause, all parties dragged out various celebrities. For the Democrats, there was Dustin Hoffman, Glenn Close and Barbra Streisand. For the Republicans, there was Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone. And for Ross Perot, Chris Christopherson. A bit like having Keith Chegwin turn out for you over here, really, isn't it? Ian and Frank, no prizes for guessing who. The question is where.
Well, I don't know who that is.
Oh, we know who that is.
That's Ross Perot as a boy. And that's the cover of Erotica, isn't it? Isn't that the cover of Erotica, the Madonna CD?
No, they put up an incredibly bad show, paid by the taxpayer to go over and wave the flag. They went over and sort of went, to each other. Do we have to open this ceremony? Do I have to eat this dog?
It is the royal trip to Korea, where Charles and Diana have been staying in separate beds after all, so it looks like a royal reconciliation won't be made in Southeast Asia, about anything in Britain that isn't. To prepare for the tour, the princess has been shopping for a new wardrobe. Well, MFI do a rather good range, I think.
Did you just hear Angus say MFI do a rather good range? Is that one of the voiceovers you've been doing?
Apparently, the couple had to eat roast dog on their visit. Let's hope they didn't pick up any culinary tips, or it'll be curtains for the corgis. Korea is known as the land of the morning calm. That's because there aren't any dogs left to bark. Paul and Jerry, who are these attractive young females?
Nina Sharple's fan club.
Yeah, no, this is a new contraceptive from Holland. It's called a Dutch cat.
This is sort of like new EEC rulings that our sort of fishermen have to sort of, I don't know, when they're handling fish, have to wear sort of stuff to keep their hair out of, you know, the haddock and all that.
Very logical, really, isn't it? Because, you know, the fish come out the North Sea, which we all know is pretty jolly clean. No toxic waste and sewage in there.
Yeah. No, it'd put you off, though, if you had, like, you know, a fish finger and there was a bit of brill cream on it or something. And you went to cut it and it sort of just went off the plate.
Yeah. It is the EC directive that all...
Are you talking at the moment?
It's the EC directive that all fishermen should wear hairnets in order to stem that age-old problem of hair falling on fish. Not sure why they should stop at fishermen. Presumably it should extend to butchers and farmers. I wonder who will get the job of informing the French farmers they have to wear hairnets. Someone who enjoys a little spontaneous combustion, I hope. An EC spokesman explained, "We don't want food producers to come into contact with their produce." Well, they should start with sheep farmers then, not fishermen. Which reckless supposition has us holed up at the end of round one, at which point neither team seems to have put so much as a foot wrong. Both Ian and Frank and Paul and Jerry have a faultless 4. Well, the joy of round 2 is blissfully close, but before that ecstasy, the agony of our caption competition. 2 images to mull over during the next 25 minutes. Ian and Frank, this one's yours. Paul and Jerry, that's for you. The origins of round 2 are to be found in the more obscure parts of the gutter press. 1 inexplicable headline each to explain. Paul, it's Mr. Kate Adie.
This is the cameraman who wanted to get work in sort of war areas, and he thought if he changed his name to Mr. Kate Adie, he's legally changed his name. And they'll say, well, look, his name's Kate Adie. Why not use him? You know, I think he could have changed his name to Battle-Torn War Zone. Something like that, you know.
I thought it was a story in The Sun again about who Angus is living with. This is Kate Adie in Angus's wife fronts.
It is TV cameraman extraordinarily, Tony Jackson, who's paid £25 to change his name to Kate Adie in order to get more work in the trouble spots around the world. "I'm very pleased for him," said his wife, Mrs. Brian Hanrahan. Jerry, BBC, British Burglary Corporation.
No. You see, the BBC had a spate of thefts. They took costumes, tights, videos. Yeah, I got a lift in the chairman of the BBC's car once. It was an absolutely true story. And I put my briefcase in the back, and there was this long parcel there with a little note saying, "Chairman of the BBC." I said to the driver, "What's that?" He says, "Well, that's the chairman's spare leg, sir. He likes to keep a spare leg in the back."
But you suppose it's got a different tread on it or something, you know, like...
It's probably,
he's running for a bus, it starts raining. And he gets the parcel, straps it.
Yes, it's the BBC who've had £1 million worth of property stolen from their premises. Points of View lost its little red and purple chair. That's not a very nice way to describe Anne Robinson. The set of a top costume drama, The House of Eliot, was also stolen, so do contact the BBC if you see anyone down the pub trying to flog a 90-foot replica of an Edwardian drawing room. Frank, which children put their parents in the dock?
There's a 14-year-old girl who decided to divorce her parents and live with her boyfriend's parents because they let him stay up late and he doesn't have to eat cabbage, apparently. But she's going to go and see them weekends and take them out to the zoo and stuff like that.
It is extraordinary, but absolutely right. There's a new Act of Parliament which now enables children to use the law courts as if they were adults. So that could throw up a few interesting scenarios. Make me eat spinach once more and I'll sue. Court adjourned because it's way past the witness's bedtime. And my lad, the accused, is just showing off because he's tired. And finally, Ian, late result for you. Galileo wins 359 years late.
This is the Pope, who's given a pardon to Galileo after 359 years. Slightly faster than the West Midlands Serious Crime Squad.
Apparently they're going to dig him up and the Pope's going to shake him by the hand.
It is...
Good old Galileo.
Why?
He was in that Queen song.
Bismillah, it's Italian astronomer Galileo.
Could he do the fandango? Has that been proved?
They've apologised. He never did the fandango.
Never did that.
No,
That was just the Inquisition. They made it up.
Yeah, there's an unjustified...
Do the fandango, do you, sir? Yeah, I bet you do.
You will if I stick this red hot poker out there.
Yes, it's Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei. Imagine Mr. and Mrs. Galilei pondering over Christian names for their son, coming up with Galileo. It'd be like Mr. and Mrs. Magnuson or something, calling their son... The Church Commission, set up 13 years ago, has only just confirmed that the Earth is not the centre of the universe. Apparently, the more conservative bishops refuse to believe that the Earth could move. Should have asked the Bishop of Galway. Which astronomical story brings us very much to the end of that round, and very much non-electoral college system of scoring shows that, well, both teams have a maximum 8 points. So let's now pull back the mask of time and look at the decomposing face of old Father History, by which drivel, of course, I mean to introduce our archive round. A couple of Neolithic What Happened Next on a royal theme. Ian and Frank, you're first.
All the drums absolutely new. 5 side drums, 1 bass drum, and on top 1 tenor drum.
Does a naked woman jump out?
It would be a good trick, but
I remember it now.
unfortunately
It all comes back to me.
It was Fergie, wasn't it? And there's the Duchess of York jumping out of the drums.
Does the regimental goat blow across the back of the picture? No, that probably doesn't happen. Do the drums blow over then?
Well, let's put an end to this
Someone's hat comes
suspense.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, he's lost his hat.
And so
Oh, yes, and they're off. Oh, he's lost his drum. What does he lose? Oh,
Oh, one of the drums did blow away then.
Yes, it is the Queen back in 1956. She was watching the Queen's Own Royal Straitjackets there, performing the traditional putting one drum on top of another ceremony.
frightens the hell out of the enemy when they see that. You see that on a battlefield, you don't mess with them. They got 4 drums.
Paul and Jerry, a slightly more recent piece of royal fun and games for you.
The Prince decided not to try this one, but local theatre projects were clearly something which interested him. And so the talking continued, with no one really aware that the Prince was in fact planning a Christmas treat for the cameras.
Does he start doing a Groucho Marx impression? Does he sort of like, he gets a little moustache and starts doing all that stuff with a cigar and sort of wandering around like that, and then falls out the window and the wind catches his ears? and he circles around the sky, and he's got these red rockets with smoke coming out, and he spells "Happy Christmas." Was that his Christmas treat, Angus?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back.
Did he produce a parcel with Andrew Morton's severed testicles?
Or one of those little bats like that, you know?
Yeah.
Well, let's reveal all.
It might not have been his idea originally, but he was a willing participant, and he took the chance of throwing the shaving foam back from where it came.
Oh, thank goodness they got a sense of humour.
Know how to enjoy the silver.
Which conclusive observations brings us to the end of this antique round, and the position, quite simply, is that Paul and Jerry have a slightly tired 8, and Ian and Frank have an almost hyperactive 10. And so we prepare to make whoopee with our ever-obliging odd one out round. 4 aces to choose from. Which one is the marked card? Paul, 4 stages of madness for you. Michael Winner, Sinead O'Connor, LaToya Jackson, and Ronald Reagan Jr.
This is child abuse.
It's not quite as specific
Well, there's
as
the comedy
that.
round over.
Yeah.
He's the ballet dancer one, isn't it? Because when Ronald Reagan used to talk about my Nancy, everybody thought they meant his wife. And of course, Sinead O'Connor is Desi's daughter, isn't it?
That's right.
No, she's Tom's daughter.
Tom's daughter,
Yeah.
and Michael
Tom
Winner
and Des, I think.
as shagged the 3 of them. I wouldn't be surprised.
But is Michael Winner the odd one out then?
And Michael Winner is the odd one out. I'll give you your points.
Not that Paul wants the points.
No. But he does. As all the others have at some time gone on record to criticise their parents, whereas conversely, Michael Winner was criticised by someone else's parents after he'd slept with their daughter. Although her main complaint was that he wore the same pair of large Y-fronts throughout their entire 7-month fling. The underpants are now consulting their solicitor. Still, I'll never stand up in court. Jerry, a chance to ruin your parliamentary career.
I've done it already.
Here and now. David Mellor.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Michael Heseltine.
And
Bill Oddie.
and Bill Oddie, yes. Well, this is a tough one. Actually, I think it's David Mellor. He's certainly odd. He is all the not like that. All the others are keen bird fanciers. And we know that David Mellor certainly isn't. He's not interested in birds at all.
Isn't it that Bill Oddie is a goodie and the other 3 are definitely...
You're absolutely right. Norman Lamont is an avid bird watcher, and he's also capable of imitating a number of bird calls. So it sounds like he can make a tit of himself in more ways than one. Frank, 4 self-made men for you. Elton John, Kevin Maxwell, Frank Warren, and Jimmy Hill.
Always get to laugh, Jimmy.
Yes. Doesn't have to do anything.
This is to do with sadness, I think. I think Frank Warren is very sad because he lost the libel case this week. Kevin Maxwell is sad because the bill that lets you divorce your parents came a year too late. Elton John is sad because we know that he's bald underneath that wig. And Jimmy Hill is just sad, really. Or it could be. I think that Elton John and Kevin Maxwell and Jimmy Hill have all been football chairmen, but Frank Warren, although he's an Arsenal fan, he's never had a shot at that.
No.
But he's had a shot at it.
Oh, it said this week, by the way, that Terry Marsh, I read a thing, Terry Marsh and Frank Warren, it talked about them, and it said that their relationship came to an all-time low when Terry Marsh was accused of shooting him. And that, it is bad for relationships. Yeah. Promiscuity and shooting are 2 of the things that break up more relationships than anything else.
Yes, very good answer. It's Frank Warren, as all the others have been, or still are, the chairman of soccer clubs, whereas Warren attempted to buy Luton. Jimmy Hill has years of experience as chairman of Fulham, yet still retains the fresh, youthful innocence of someone who knows boggle about anything.
I think I should point out that it's exactly a year, Guy Fawkes night. Exactly a year since Robert Maxwell died. Sort of guy drowns night.
Yes.
Do you think in years to come, children will gather around big pools of water? Will children ever learn that a guy is a thing with trousers stuffed with newspaper and that, not a teddy bear with a jumper on? That is complete
When you get
con.
footballs with footballs for heads, that's very, you know, as if Guy Fawkes looked like that. You know? I don't know his name, mate, but he looked like a football.
Yes.
So at the identity parade, you've got all these blokes and a football just there.
Yes, it's not a great disguise, is it, really?
No.
And lastly in this round, Ian, an unlikely foursome for you. John Gummer, Ayatollah Khamenei, Torquemada, head of the Spanish Inquisition, and the Bishop of Durham.
Well, this is a question of religious faith, which leaves the Bishop of Durham out of it.
Or is it that they're all Christians apart from Galileo? What's his name? Apart from Rolf Harris in the corner there.
I'll give you 1 point for that, because it's actually the Bishop of Durham, as you said, as all the others believe in miracles, and he doesn't, which seems slightly strange, as the fact that anyone made him a bishop is a miracle in itself. All of which brings us cascading to the end of that penultimate round, and the situation is anything but too close to call, since, well, Paul and Jerry have all but lost their deposit with 12, and Ian and Frank are heading for a landslide with 13.
One vote. That's the sort of thing Jerry's lot calls a firm mandate.
And so we effortlessly doubled the clutch into our final missing words round. So Paul and Jerry are currently in the descendant, so it's they that go first. Right. Lamont wants 5 what to watch the economy?
More years?
Does he want 5-star to reform and then to watch the economy?
Well, he might do. But
Lamont wants 5 quarterly reports.
Yes.
The answer, you may be fascinated to know, was wise men. Next, Channel 4 celebrates 10 years of what?
Marvellous television.
Rubbish like the Paul
broadcasting.
Merton show.
Oh.
That didn't get out very well, strangely.
Countdown?
What, the show? It was all right.
Something
Success.
for everyone is, in fact, the complete inaccurate answer. Next, the Germans say yes to what?
Germans say yes to anything suggested by a superior officer.
Cut price Eurofighter is, in fact, the answer.
Of course.
Yeah. Fergie fights to keep what?
Well, it's not dignity, is it?
Fights to keep off Japanese whalers? Children.
Children. Well done, is the right
Pigeons?
answer.
No.
The kids. And lastly, Mother's Blanche as Major unveils naked what?
That's Queen Mother, isn't it?
Aggression is, in fact, the answer. So,
Major's
not bad.
naked aggression.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
please vote for me, please. He's a tough guy in the corner, isn't he?
Oh, yes.
Right, Ian and Frank, here are your 5. Fate of world economy hangs on what?
Ross Perot's ears.
Is it street corners?
This is actually dinner date, is the answer. Next, buses is rather dull answer.
Yeah.
Buses to use what for trial period?
Timetables?
Is it
No,
indicators?
far too unrealistic.
So when they pull out in front of you, they might... Probably wouldn't work, would it?
No, rapeseed.
Can we do it? It's rape.
The rather strange answer.
That's what the
Quite
gap talks
quick enough,
are
I'm
just
afraid.
failing over.
Next, Major woos Tories with soft what?
Drugs?
Furnishings?
Toys. Toys.
Soft
toys.
is a lovely answer, but in fact, option on Maastricht is what we were looking for. Next, Diana turns on what in Pact with Charles?
Gas?
Is it a sixpence?
Well, it would fit, but...
Or Blackpool Illuminations? Is it the charm or
It
something?
is the charm.
Oh, not
Astonishing.
turns on a
well
hell of a
done.
lot of people.
And finally, Lamont says no plans to what? The Queen?
Try and get off with.
Is it fax? It's tax, isn't
It
it?
rhymes with facts. Tax
Lamont
is
says
the right
no plans
answer.
to blame the economy on the Queen. No, it says tax now.
Yes, yes, I'm afraid Paul got it right, Ian. It was half an hour ago.
We've slipped.
Which, customary mayhem acts as a fitting end to this week's comedy of errors. And the upshot of it all is that this week's absolute beginners are Ian and Frank with 13, and this week's top guns are Paul and Jerry with 18. So, a year's supply of Vogue to our winners, a Freeman's catalogue to our losers. But before we
We have a lot of fun with the Freeman's Capital.
look forward to watching
And
it.
you accused Jimmy Hill of being sad.
There's a difference between lonely and sad, right?
Tell me about it.
Okay.
But before we let them crawl back to the sewers, it's time to alert them to our caption competition. Ian and Frank, you were given this one.
ABBA in combat concert.
It's Baroness Thatcher's 63rd birthday party, and Michael Heseltine is saying, well, can't we throw her a bit higher?
Caption isn't Terry Marsh enters Commons, is it?
Thank you for those. Paul and Jerry, yours look like these.
Original model for Kellogg's cornflake runs amok.
Salman Rushdie goes for a walk.
Michael Jackson, has he gone too far with his...
On which contentious note, we say thank you to our panellists Ian Hislop and Frank Skinner, Paul Merton and Jerry Hayes MP. And I leave you with news that after the failure of his latest hair transplant, Elton John is discovered to have taken refuge in a nunnery. Following Cindy Crawford's successful aerobics video, Desert Orchid embarks on his own version. Meanwhile,
Mr. Piggott under there. Oh, he's getting better now.
and finally, to show there are no hard feelings, George Bush issues a last message to the American voters. Good night.